Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the best boss for Season 26 for the Great League. We're going to have 10 Pokemon here. This might be part number 1. There are fewer more Pokemon, of course, that got buffed. But today we're going to take a look at 10 Pokemon that got an interesting buff this season. And of course, there's going to be more IDP Poke rankings towards the new season up eventually as well throughout the week. We're going to update them as well to see which Pokemon climbs the most amount of ranks. But today, first update towards 10 Pokemon that you might want to build for the upcoming season. So let's start right into it. Of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, I would really appreciate it. But let's move on to Pokemon number 1, which is going to be Empoleon, and Empoleon is going to get access to the move Waterfall. Waterfall is going to be very interesting as it's going to give this Pokemon a bit more of a different play. This Pokemon has usually a Metal Sound as a fast move, not really known for doing a lot of damage there, but is generating energy faster than, for example, the Waterfall. Waterfall gets buffed. We don't know how much energy it's going to generate. It's very likely 10 per usage, which still allows you to have a pacing of 12 turns to go to the Hydrokin and the Drill Peck, 2 slower than the Metal Sound. But now you have the option to do a lot of fast move damage with the Empoleon as well, which would be an interesting choice, and I could see that Empoleon would want to run the Waterfall in certain scenarios. It's most likely not going to be always better compared to the Metal Sound, but depending on which team you're going to have, it might be an interesting shout, especially if you use 2 shields on the Empoleon. It could flip some of the matchups that you usually would lose. Next up, we're going to have Shelgon. Shelgon is an interesting Pokemon because you're going to have access to moves like Crunch and Dragon Pulse, as well as Dragon Breath. Dragon Breath got buffed recently, but now you have also access to Twister, which seems to be a 70 damage move for 40 energy, which is very nice because now you have the nice pacing of 10 turns with a Shelgon in order to get to the Twister, which is a strong move, and generally this is a big upgrade for this Pokemon. It makes this Pokemon very much interesting to see. The issue for this Pokemon is you cannot hit any kind of Fairy-type Pokemon for neutral damage. You have Crunch and Dragon-type damage, so like you're kind of getting locked into them. But anything else, you're going to be kind of fine against. And this is going to be an interesting Pokemon, Shelgon with Twister. Again, there are other Pokemon as well that are going to be kind of interesting with Twister. But yeah, Shelgon would be something to look out for, would be something that will be interesting on if this Pokemon has any play in the upcoming meta. Articuno is going to get buffed. This Pokemon gets access to Powder Snow, which is very interesting. It's going to be faster paced than the Ice Shot, doesn't do as much damage, but it's going to be a 2-turn fast move, which is generally seen as a better than a 3-turn fast move. Ice Shot is only really good on Dewgong, which is mainly good because of the typing and the bulk that this Pokemon has. But here, Ice Shot, like you haven't seen Articuno in the GO Battle League most likely ever for a lot of people. I've seen a few of them very much back in the day. And there was actually a time where Articuno wasn't that bad. But yeah, it hasn't gotten an update in literally years now. And now it got access to Powder Snow, which is honestly quite cool because this Pokemon is going to be, quite a bit better. We're going to have a better pacing. You have access to the Ice Wind quite faster. And it doesn't even mean that the moveset that you see on the right side here is going to be the ideal moveset, because you have options to go for Triple Axle, boosting your own attack up. You have options to go for the Ancient Power in order to have coverage against Fire-type Pokemon. That's all options for you for this Pokemon. And it's going to be kind of interesting to see on, yeah, how you're going to play Articuno. But it's definitely an interesting Pokemon generally for the Great League, and you can use a Shadow version for this Pokemon as well, if you have that one, of course. If you even have generally an Articuno for the Great League. It's a Pokemon that hasn't been released for this meta for the Great League in quite a while, so yeah, it's an interesting update here. Next up, we're going to have Medicham, and this Pokemon, of course, is an old Pokemon from the old times in the GO Battle League. Like, this is one that dominated the GO Battle League for, I think, like 15 seasons, and then completely disappeared after the counter nerf and a lot of other nerfs towards this thing as well. But now recently, it actually got buffed with all 3 moves it uses. Like Ice Punch got buffed like a good few seasons back, Dynamic Punch got buffed also a good few seasons back, and now Psycho Cut got buffed as well, which means that even though it actually already looks very solid this season, the Medicham is actually going to be really good next season. It's going to be quite a big upgrade, actually. Like 3 extra wins is kind of huge. And I think it's actually not that bad against the current meta either. So, like, I do think that Medicham could have some potential for the next season, especially as you can, even if you have a little bit of an energy advantage, be the core breaker of the Empoleon plus the Altaria core, which is kind of cool because they have Ice Punch for Altaria and Dynamic Punch for Empoleon. Now, with Psycho Cut getting a bit of a buff towards it, it actually helps this Pokemon quite a bit, and Medicham might be back. Is Swampert back? I only recently made a video about how Swampert is actually still quite solid, and now it's going back to what it was before. Or is it? This is a thing here that kind of surprised me. Like, actually, when I went ahead and looked at the Mudshot with a buff, basically, and Sludge on it, I actually went really far down, and so I decided to change it up to the Earthquake. Actually, the average rating went up, but the win rate went from like the 19 wins there to 13 wins, which I was like a bit surprised about. Apparently, I guess this is the one-shot scenario anyway. Apparently in the one-shot scenario, it is better to have the Mudshot the other way around, where you have a little bit more damage and you don't have the extra pacing. But I do think in the two-shot scenario and a lot of scenarios generally, the pacing itself is going to be way more beneficial for the Swampert to bring it back kind of to former glory. But here, Earthquake got nerfed in the meantime as well, so Earthquake is a little bit worse than when it won the World Championship. And so I do think that Swampert is going to be definitely a little bit more back than it was before. It has better pacing, which is generally very, very nice, especially in the meta that we're currently in. But I could see that it's not going to be as strong as it was once before, which I think is a good thing, though, because Swampert was at one point, like, literally one of the strongest Pokemon in the world that won the World Championship as well. So yeah, this Pokemon is still going to be very good though. Like, this is the thing, you can still run Sludge. It doesn't mean that you have to run Earthquake. You can run Sludge Wave if you want to, but Sludge is just generally considered the better move. And so this Pokemon itself going to be getting a buff here, and it's going to be an interesting Pokemon to see for the upcoming season. This is actually one of the most exciting updates of them all, which is kind of funny because I didn't really expect it until I looked into it. Heracross getting access to both Fury Cutter, as well as getting access to a Rock Tomb, is going to give it not only coverage against the worst weakness that it has, which is Flying type weakness, which is going to be double super effective against you. It's also going to allow you to just get to the moves quite a bit faster, while doing still a lot of damage with the fast move. And now you have Bug type damage with the fast move, the Flying type damage with your main charge move, the Upper Hand, which is a very good charge move anyway. And then you have now Mega Horn, or the option of going for a Rock Tomb in order to counter those flying types. And generally Rock Tomb is considered better for this Pokemon. I do think it is better, and again, you actually have the potential to break the core of Altaria and the Empoleon if you're going to be a bit energy up. Heracross itself, the worst thing for it is just kind of, it doesn't have the greatest bulk, but honestly, this thing has a lot of potential, so would be interesting to see on where this Pokemon is going to be at the end of the day. I could see that this Pokemon would have a bit of more potential there compared to some others. It's also very cool against the Malamar. Well, yes, Malamar does super effective damage against you. You do double super effective damage with a fast move. I do think you're going to outspeed it in terms of the damage output there. So yeah, Heracross is going to be very cool. Again, Wigglytuff though is going to be a bit of a pain for it. And we're also going to have a video eventually on this channel here for like hidden buffs, Pokemon that are just going to be better in the current meta. I don't think that Wigglytuff is sadly one of them again. Wormadame, or Bug Bite, currently the fast mover, getting access to Sucker Punch, and this is going to make this Pokemon a little bit stronger, which is cool, and actually quite usable. Like, look at the ranking here, 21 wins, 21 losses, actually very solid Pokemon, very nice neutrally, has only one weakness in Fire, that's it, and with that, it's honestly not a bad Pokemon at all. You have access to Iron Head and Bug Buzz. It's actually really bad charge moves though. Like, the charge moveset is kind of where this Pokemon lacks, but it has a lot of good fast moves. It has Confusion as Bug Bite. This is access now to Sucker Punch. This Pokemon gets literally every single fast move in the game apparently, but charge moves it would need to have a little bit of an update in order to be top meta, but it's still going to be an interesting Pokemon, and maybe has some more potential now even in the Open Great League. Pelipper is going to be next, having access to the buffed Wing Attack. Wing Attack is going to now be basically Pack, but with one less damage, which is fine though, because Wing Attack, if it was Pack, it would be a little bit too broken. But Pelipper was actually dominating play back in the day when Wing Attack was better and when Weather Ball was better. Weather Ball is now at the same level it was back in the day, and Wing Attack is back where it was back in the day. The issue is just the meta around it shifted quite significantly to Pokemon that have faster paced, more bulk, a lot more Pokemon got added in since Pelipper was meta. Pelipper was meta quite a few seasons back, like around 10 seasons back or something. It was a very strong Pokemon. And then it got nerfed, and now it's kind of back, but it doesn't look that great on paper, but I do think it's going to be quite solid to play. The issue is you're still going to lose against Bastion. You're still going to lose against Corsola, which has the Rock type coverage. There are a lot of Pokemon currently with the Rock type or like Electric type coverage in the current meta, which makes it a bit difficult sometimes for Pelipper to shine. And also, Pelipper doesn't have the greatest bulk. You could argue that Mantine is going to be back as well, which you can take a look at as another part of this kind of series here, because Mantine also is a Wing Attack user and is the bulkier version of this Pokemon. Pelipper, though, got recently just buffed with the Weather Ball Water. That's why I kind of want to talk about it here. It's still definitely going to be way strong next season and would be an interesting Pokemon to take a look at. Diggersby. Diggersby is very likely gonna be a nemesis for a lot of players here for the next season. It's gonna be a Pokemon that I don't really enjoy too much battling against, and it's gonna be even stronger now, as it's gonna have much shot again, generating energy faster. But here's the thing, the average rating actually goes down, but it depends on which kind of team you have. Both the Quick Attack as well as the Mud Shot have play. Like, both of them have play in, like, basically when both of them were at the same level before, which was the case as well. Diggersby was generally more seen to run the fast move of Mud Shot in order to generate energy faster. What I could see actually what would be really cool is Diggersby with the return in Mud Shot, because now you're going to have better pacing towards it then, and I think it would help it out quite a bit. Your Fire Punch still is a nice coverage move, and I do think it would be the best way of playing Diggersby in the upcoming meta would be actually with the return if you have one build. That doesn't mean that this is going to be the most common moveset though. I do think though that return would be just very interesting with a Mud Shot change. And the last one is going to be Hawlucha for this video. And Hawlucha is going to be a Pokemon that I think is going to be fantastic, because you have Poison Jab currently, which is kind of fun because you're going to be able to counter Pokemon like a Azumarill for super effective damage, but it's not going to be stab, it's not going to do really anything else for you. And that being said, this is going to be no change, as Low Kick is going to be introduced for this Pokemon. Low Kick is a clone of Vine Whip, it's a clone of Wing Attack, they're all kind of the same. 5 damage, 8 energy generation, very likely. We actually don't know about it yet. That's me guessing that Low Kick is going to be the same. If Low Kick is 7 energy, forget Hawlucha, throw it away, and keep it in your storage, because it's not going to be good at all. But if it's basically the same as Wing Attack, this Pokemon is going to be all of a sudden very, very solid. It's not going to be breaking the meta, but it's going to be a very strong meta contender with a typing that we only just recently saw getting back into the meta by the release of the Flamigo. So yeah, Hawlucha is going to be an interesting Pokemon, definitely worth getting, especially during the Go Tour, which is currently going on in a few days especially. So yeah, definitely interesting Pokemon. You can get it as a shiny there as well during the Go Tour. And that's going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully you can't wait for the next video as well. And if you do, then feel free to subscribe to this channel, and I will see you then. Bye bye.